Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the Commander Within episode. This is an episode which has to do with the unique realizations of 1 out of 8 billion human beings in one lifetime. I am contributing the findings and realizations of human life force, and in some sense I'm here to report back to the species. What I have realized is that I have been reporting back to the advanced civilization every day with these talks. It is my way of touching the future, from my own past. Now, the Commander Within, there's an idea here which I'm going to explain, but in the subtitle I've written commentary on authority's role. The way I'm saying that is not in the sense of political authority, or even we look at Michel Foucault describing different types of power. There's many different ways we can interpret power, its value, and its value being in accordance to what it's influencing or what it has control over. So we as human beings are not just creatures playing in a video game where everything is in complete free will. Actually, it's a conflicting of various senses of will at the same time. This is why Mr.Within acknowledges reality. Human reality is a multidimensional system. Why? Because multiple cause and effect actions are, in some sense, it's like one point where multiple lines are intersecting. And so we have to start as a new humanity, as the advanced humanity, as those who in some sense, it's like the advanced humanity is what our ancestors have been waiting for, and it is in some sense those who are the future generations will look up to. You see, mankind has glorified his past through ancient mythology, has glorified his present through, in some sense, desire-bound luxury. And in some sense, all that he is waiting for, all that is really left to glorify is the future of the intelligence of all these beings in one moment. And beings are not just beings, they're complicated systems. The issue with human understanding is that we have been considering that there's a self in a world, and the self and the world are separate. But the self and the world are like units of measurement, as if, for example, imagine like inches and centimeters. Or imagine like, 100 centimeters and then suddenly 10 centimeters. Do you know? What I'm trying to tell the viewers is that it's as if your sense of self is made up of multiple worlds, and your world is made up of multiple senses of self. This is obvious. We see this. The important thing about human life, something that it took me a while to wrap my head around, was the fact of existence being something that it's as if what is my role, and what is the role of the authority or any sort of authority that my intelligence as a being has. You see, the moment you wonder about the macrocosmic, you open your attention to all the ways the microcosmic can change. We think we are human beings, right? We think there is a self in a world, or a self projecting a world. What if it's a world projecting a self? What if the secrets of reality are way more bizarre than how humanity has made himself comfortable with reality? The comforts are lies, there was a time where I thought, it's like so many people say like, yo man, just be happy in this life. And I was like, be happy? How? How can I be happy in an unhappy world? How can I be efficient in an inefficient world? How can I be advanced in a world that is forgetting its future? This is where the archetype and the idea of the Commander Within will come. And I will tell the viewers, it took me 31 laps around the Helios to in some sense realize that it is okay to command in this realm, but you cannot command, or you won't understand how to until you serve. One of the most important sentences ever in the human language, it was spoken by a person, I remember his name, George S. Patton. Anyways, this man, military man, I believe, he said he said this sentence: you must serve before you can command. This is the secret of not something else in the room before we were. Now this is getting interesting. Now suddenly the human life isn't just a story you can tell yourself to feel good or sad about, but in actuality it is a collective mystery. In my life, I was a very shy person. Sometimes in life I am, but now it's just like if my state is altered. The thing I realized about my life and my own life force, the most revolutionary thing that I think a shy person, and when I say shy, I mean you're someone who doesn't trust who you can be in front of your eyes yet. And it's okay, because sometimes, you know, just like you got to prepare and then act. You know, I've been a bit of a maverick my life. You know, there's been moments where in my mind I've seen something go forth and like a fool I've trusted it. Or the people who are around it's jokes just because I see the joke like an alignment of the planets in my mind, and if I don't engage it, then the moment goes away. So really in life we have to, this is what they didn't teach us, that there is so much outside of you making you feel that the importance of reality is actually outside of you. But if you begin to wonder, just like imagine you hear beautiful music. Let's say you're someone who doesn't know what instruments are, and you hear music for the first time in your life, right? Imagine we take like a music ensemble, the New York Orchestra, right? And some time traveler, you know, imagine some billionaire time traveler in the future is like, yo man, I'm gonna take my favorite orchestra and I'm gonna take it to my ancestors so they listen. Do you know? And imagine being a person hearing sounds you've never heard existed, and then wondering how they are made and realizing it's a group of beings creating it. You see, that means I was thinking that what if a group of beings wanted to have universal order? The only way they could do that is through oneness. People don't understand, but oneness isn't the real earth. Oneness is in some sense one side of the coin. Because let me tell you what the dualities are, especially if your mind opens up mystically. You're going to wonder about the singular, and then you're going to wonder about the void and the infinite. The void and the infinite, I think most beings are actually wondering about after this lifetime, right? But during this lifetime it is possible. Why? Because we don't know what's possible on earth, and when we try, we figure out. Let me tell you what the commander within is, okay? This sentence I told you must serve before you command. My service, this might sound strange. I don't know if a human being has talked like this before on the planet. But I don't know why, but I feel these Mr. Within talks have been a sort of my transcendental service. My existence, actually. And everybody's existence, the moment where sometimes in my mind there are 4 states. There are 4 ways my inner realms can appear to me. One is completely void. That means they don't appear. One is everything that appears in it is appearing at the same time. 4th, the infinite being. The infinite being has no sense of time, no sense of fear. The emotional wheel doesn't apply. The stories of reality doesn't apply. And you realize that life's shape does not apply to life's force. Because something allows form. You see, we call it creation on earth. I would say in higher dimensions, it's like everything exists, they just allow it to manifest. Tradition, there was a hadith that in some sense mentioned that the soul has a rank. The soul has a ranking system, and souls of the same rank recognize each other. And what does this mean? Your ranking system in existence, I'm not going to say like the military, but in existence is based on your responsibility level. So based on how responsible you have been as an energetic attention being a world suggests your rank. Now the ultimate rank is selflessness. When I say the commander within, what I am trying to say, and that experience I didn't actually mention, that experience I had, the inner realm experience I don't often mention. pretty much, I don't know how to say it. In my mind, I felt there I had a sort of entourage, transcendental entourage. Then I felt the whole moment pause, and I felt this attention, which to me in that instant, I knew this is all happening in my inner realms, overlaid on the outer realms. And in the inner realms, I literally experienced this moment where I felt there were like greater beings around me, and I had this entourage. But suddenly this attention entered the world in that moment, and the attention stared at me, and for a second I felt it was as if God, this might sound bizarre, but I don't want to say God, but to me, to my limited human mind, what appeared as God, in that moment, I felt as if God was saying, "Oh, you who has selflessly trusted the world's guidance, now it is time to realize that you were never misguided. This is the true nature of your being, a sinless entity. That means you are entitled to your freedom and to your greatness and to your redemption before the collapse and falls of misery. There are planes of existence that are like the gutters of existence, okay? In my dreams, I don't know why, but I saw them. There are such unconscious ways. That means if humanity could see the lower worlds, he would realize how kind and civilized man is, even though we're having civil war and stuff in our own species. The idea of the commander within is pretty much I'm this guy who realized what's moving here is moving the object, moving the subject, moving the emotions, because they all come and go, but what is knowing that things are coming and going is not changing. And the only time it changes is when it disappears in deep sleep. But deep sleep is so bizarre that we feel like nothing happened and we just literally turned off and turned on. Right? That means it's like when you turn off your computer, imagine your computer was conscious, it wouldn't know what you're doing. It's like gone into deep sleep, but then the next morning something turns it on. Something animates the active and able agents in the realm. Why? Because the potential of the world, it belongs to the karma of the universal space. That means we think it's all human karma. Wrong. We think it's all God's karma. It's not just the case. It is God's karma ultimately, but what it is God's karma is divided into the karma of a spectrum of beings. So God is like the white light beam, and then the RGB, the color spectrum, the other side of when the light goes into the prism and comes out as a rainbow. What is that? So it's a color spectrum. It means that it's as if different colors are being the same light, one light. That means all of human distinctions and differentiations from another dimension are the same. Now I realize that there isn't just a singularity, because singularity is dehumanized and it's weird. That means if our minds move faster than our bodies, they're going to have no choice but to become selfless automatically, because they're moving faster than they can identify with the body in the future. If the mind moves faster than the body, it might need multiple bodies, or it might be so fast that it can't have a body. So, being a biological human being right now is an incredible phase, and anybody who says a prayer, a thank you prayer before eating a meal, I want you to say a thank you prayer for the historic phase of existence you're alive in, for the time you have come now. For even though we see the suffering in human civilization, we don't see that we are the alien technology on earth. We are the divinity in the room. God is the presence and the will of the whole thing. So you see, they asked this guru, this wise man, enlightened guy named Swami Krishnananda. They said, "What is religion, man?" And he said, "Religion is God remembering himself, but God is an inconceivable being. So are you telling me all of visible life is an inconceivable being's way of remembering? It's not the conception by going through it." You see, we fear what we don't understand, because understanding is trying to act absolute. The greatness of this world is not in limitation. It is in the limitless. The greatest teachers of this world are not visible. The greatest teachings do not even appear here. You know, if somebody says, tell me about your lifetime, tell me about your life, and I'll be like, okay, I have a life that began from the moment I was born and the moment I became conscious until the moment I'm gonna die. I have that life. And then imagine somebody's like, tell me about your other life. Do you have another life? And I'm like, yeah, I do have another life. And the person's like, okay, what other life do you have? I'll be like, I have an inner life where my brain simulates itself endlessly every moment that anything changes. And the person's like, okay, you got an inner life. What other life do you have? And I'll be like, I have this third life, which seems to be a sort of inconceivability, as if the inconceivable is watching how the invisible is being visible to itself. So what it means is there is a me, there's a sense of being to all beings in reality which never began and can never end. And once you discover the presence that is beyond personality, which is how your whole moment is being here now, you tried to see God when you were young. But when you were older, you couldn't see it anywhere else. As if what is here to itself, consciousness is a miracle live streamed. It's a live stream miracle. It's like the weirdest thing about life is how we're noticing it. You know, there is that some closure is coming. Something is going to happen that human beings are going to be shocked. Advancing civilization, you know, I speak through the arrogance and the ego of someone, algorithm in the cosmos, that any time a civilized, just like they say, noticing that there are deeper things